You wake up every day with this gnawing feeling in your gut. It's that quiet whisper, that tightening in your chest when you think about stepping up, speaking out, or taking a risk. That's fear. And let me tell you something straight. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. Yes, a loud, screaming, gut-twisting signal, but not one that means stop. It means wake up. It means go. It means you're standing on the edge of your potential, and your brain is doing everything it can to keep you safe. That's right. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to protect you. But here's the truth that most people never get. The life you want, the change you crave, the version of you you're desperate to become, it's all waiting for you on the other side of fear. Not in some abstract, cheesy Instagram quote kind of way. I'm talking real action, real courage, real decisions made in seconds that can change everything. Let's break the myth. Fear is not the enemy. The enemy is your habit of waiting until you're not afraid. And that's the trap. You think you need confidence or more preparation or the perfect timing. No, you need courage. Confidence is the reward, not the requirement. You get confidence by doing the thing that scares the hell out of you while your hands are shaking, your voice is cracking, and your knees are about to buckle. That's how you kill fear. You face it, again and again, and you rob it of its power by refusing to let it decide who you are and what you do. I'm not asking you to be fearless. That's a lie. No one is fearless. I'm asking you to feel the fear, name it, and move anyway. Because you know what fear hates? Fear hates action. Fear dies when you move. It dies when you take control, when you make the call. Speak up, take the chance, walk away, show up. That's how you kill fear. You suffocate it with action. You interrupt the pattern. The moment your mind starts spinning that fear story, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move. You act before your mind talks you out of it. That's the secret. Fear is a liar, and your job is to stop giving it the mic. There's something wild that happens when you realize fear isn't this immovable wall. It's smoke. It's illusion. It's just your brain pulling the emergency brake because it's trying to keep you small and safe and predictable. But you're not here to live a small, safe, predictable life. You're here to live a bold one. You're here to do things you've never done, to say things you've never said, to become someone you've never been. And you cannot do that while you're bowing to fear like it's the boss of you. It's not. You are. You get to decide if today's the day you finally stop letting fear drive the car and instead shove it in the back seat where it belongs. And don't think courage means you have to take massive leaps. Sometimes it's just showing up. It's raising your hand when your heart is pounding. It's saying no when you usually say yes, just to keep the peace. It's applying for the job. It's admitting you're scared and doing it anyway. The small, brave things you do every day, that's what kills fear. That's what builds the muscle. You don't wait for bravery to strike like lightning. You build it like a habit. You train for it like a warrior. You've got one shot at this life. One. So ask yourself, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Really ask it. Write it down. Say it out loud. Visualize it. What would you do if fear weren't standing in your way? And then, here's the power move. You do it while you're still afraid. You do it messy. You do it sweating. You do it with your heart beating out of your chest. That's how you get strong. That's how you stop fear from winning. You start showing fear that it picked the wrong person to mess with. There is no secret guru, no magic pill, no perfect timing that will eliminate fear from your life. But there is a secret to killing its grip on you. That secret is motion. You want a different life? Move. You want to change your story? Move. You want to feel alive instead of stuck, empowered instead of paralyzed? Move. Action is everything. You'll never think your way out of fear, but you can act your way right through it. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop giving fear a throne in your life. Stand up, count down, push forward. Trust that you're stronger than the lies fear has been feeding you, because you are. And every single time you choose courage over comfort, bravery over excuses, Action over paralysis. You take back your power. That's how you kill fear. Not in one big dramatic battle, but in 1,000 small moments where you rise, even when your voice shakes. Because the truth is, you were never really afraid of the thing. You were afraid of who you'd become if you actually did it. And guess what? That version of you, the brave one, the bold one, the unstoppable one, is already inside you. It's time to let them lead. Fear has had the wheel long enough. Your turn. Let's go. Fear is one of the most misunderstood emotions in the human experience. Most of us grow up believing that fear is something bad, something negative, something to avoid at all costs. We think fear is a barrier, a sign that we're not ready, not capable, or not meant to move forward. But here's the truth you need to tattoo onto your mindset. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signal. A powerful, intelligent, deeply human signal that you're standing at the edge of growth, opportunity, and personal evolution. Think about it. When does fear show up? Not when you're coasting, not when you're playing it safe, not when you're doing what's familiar and easy. No, fear shows up when something important is on the line. When there's risk, yes, but also when there's potential. When you're about to push your limits, step into the unknown, or pursue something that matters to you. Fear comes alive in the moments that matter most. But our brains are wired for survival, not success. Your brain isn't trying to help you thrive. It's trying to keep you from danger, discomfort, and embarrassment. It doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about certainty and safety. So when you even think about doing something bold, starting a business, having a hard conversation, stepping on stage, applying for that dream job, your brain goes into overdrive. It sends a surge of fear. But that fear is not truth. It's not a prophecy. It's just your brain pulling the emergency brake because it detects uncertainty. The game-changing mindset shift is learning to reinterpret that fear, not as a warning to stop, but as a green light to move. Because here's what most people never realize. Fear and excitement feel almost identical in the body. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your stomach churns. It's not the sensation that's different. It's the label you slap on it, the story you tell yourself about what it means. And that story is everything. When you feel fear, your instinct may be to retreat, to back off, to wait until the feeling goes away. But that's how fear wins. That's how it grows. Every time you back off, you teach your brain that fear equals danger, and your world gets smaller. You avoid the interview. You skip the date. You stay silent. You say no to opportunity. And with every decision driven by fear, you reinforce the lie that you're not ready. But when you shift that perspective and say, wait a minute, this fear is just a signal, everything changes. You start to see fear not as a red flag, but as a compass. It points you to the exact thing you need to do next. It's your soul's way of telling you this matters. You're on the edge of something meaningful. Fear isn't pushing you back. It's pulling you forward. And when you learn to recognize that signal for what it really is, you take your power back. Let me say this loud and clear. Being afraid doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not ready. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Being afraid often means you're doing something right. It means you're stepping out of your comfort zone, stretching yourself, stepping into a version of you that you haven't fully met yet. And that is powerful. That is brave. You don't kill fear by waiting for it to go away. You kill it by walking straight into it, moment by moment, proving to yourself that it doesn't have the final say. Fear might be the first voice you hear, but it doesn't get to be the loudest. You get to choose which voice you follow. And the more you act in the face of fear, the more you train your mind to associate that feeling with growth, not danger. The more you face it, the faster it fades. That's the irony. Fear disappears not when you avoid it, but when you confront it. And in that confrontation, you gain courage. You build resilience. You become unstoppable. So the next time fear shows up before a big decision, a new chapter, or a scary step, don't run, don't freeze, lean in, smile even, because fear is not your enemy. It's your signal, A flashing neon sign that says you're headed somewhere important. Let it guide you, let it teach you, and most of all, let it push you to rise. Because fear is never the end, it's the beginning. The beginning of something bigger, braver, and bolder than you ever imagined. We have this idea, this deeply ingrained myth, that before we can do the hard, scary, life-changing things, we have to feel ready. That we need confidence to walk into the room, raise our hand, start the business, make the call, take the leap. But here's the truth that will change everything for you. Confidence is not what you start with. It's what you earn. Confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct. You don't wait for confidence. You build it. The biggest lie most people believe is that the confident people they admire, the speakers, the leaders, the risk-takers, had some magical inner certainty from the beginning. Nope. What they had was courage, and that's very different. Courage is when you act even though you're afraid. Confidence is what you get after you do it scared, after you show up with a pounding heart and shaky hands and do it anyway. Confidence is the reward for action. You don't need to feel ready, you need to move. That's the part that breaks the cycle. Because if you're waiting to feel confident before you speak up in the meeting, you'll stay silent. If you're waiting to feel confident before starting that project, you'll sit on the sidelines forever. But the moment you act, the second you take one small, brave step forward, you prove to yourself that you're capable. That proof becomes the seed of real, grounded confidence. Think back to a time when you did something that scared you. Maybe it was your first day at a new job, your first time speaking in front of people, or even just telling someone how you really felt. You were probably terrified before you did it, but after, you felt powerful. You walked away thinking, I actually did that. That's confidence. And the only way you got there was by doing the thing without it. And that's the mistake so many people make. They sit on the edge of their goals, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting to feel braver, waiting until they don't feel nervous. That day doesn't come, because fear doesn't disappear. It shifts, it morphs. The only way to get past it is to go through it, and that takes movement. You will never think your way into confidence. You can't read enough books or listen to enough podcasts to trick your nervous system into calm. You have to take the step. And it doesn't have to be a giant leap. Confidence grows from small wins, not just big moments. It comes from raising your hand, asking the question, applying even if you think you're not qualified. It comes from making the call, starting the side hustle, walking into the gym, saying yes to something that stretches you. Every one of those actions is a brick laid on the foundation of your self-belief. Here's the truth. People don't succeed because they're confident. They become confident because they take the risk. The world's most powerful people didn't wait until they felt certain. They acted while they were still unsure. The difference between them and everyone else? They didn't let fear sit in the driver's seat. They knew that courage is a muscle, and every time you use it, it gets stronger. Every single action builds that inner trust, that unshakable belief that says, if I did it once, I can do it again. Confidence is self-trust. It's knowing that even if things don't go perfectly, you can handle it. And how do you build self-trust? You do hard things. You keep promises to yourself. You show up when you don't feel like it. You choose progress over perfection. And slowly your confidence grows, not from hype or ego, but from evidence. So if you're sitting on a dream right now, if you're staring at a goal and thinking, I just need to feel more ready, I want you to stop. You don't need to feel ready. You need to decide. You need to start. You need to take the smallest possible step in the direction of that fear. Because on the other side is not just a better result, it's a better you, a stronger, more capable, more empowered version of yourself who now has proof that you can do hard things. Confidence is earned in the doing, in the discomfort, in the repetition. So stop waiting for it to show up before you act. Flip the script. Act first. Feel powerful later. That's the real secret. Your fear is not a sign that you're not ready. It's a sign that you are. Because the person you're becoming is always born in the gap between doubt and action. cross the gap, take the step. The confidence you're craving is waiting for you on the other side of doing. Let's cut straight to it. Fear hates movement. It thrives in stillness, in waiting, in hesitation. It grows stronger the longer you sit in your head, overanalyzing, what-ifing, second-guessing yourself. That's where fear wins, not because it's more powerful than you, but because you stopped moving. And that's the trap most people fall into. They think they need to think their way out of fear. But the truth? You can't think your way through fear. You have to act your way through it. That's the secret. Action is the antidote. Fear is a feeling. It's your brain's alarm system going off because it senses uncertainty or risk. And here's what your brain wants to do when it feels fear: keep you frozen. That's its job. It thinks it's protecting you, but what it's actually doing is paralyzing you. That's why you can't wait for fear to disappear. You have to outpace it. You have to take action while you're still afraid, before your brain talks you out of it. Have you ever noticed that the scariest part of anything is the lead up? The seconds before you speak, the moment before you hit send, the time before you walk into the room. But the second you take action, even a small one, the fear starts to shrink. That's not a coincidence. That's neuroscience. Fear is rooted in uncertainty. But the moment you do something, make a move, take a step, break the mental loop, you create clarity. And where there's clarity, fear has less room to breathe. Most people don't have a fear problem. They have an inaction problem. They wait, hoping that someday they'll wake up fearless, that the butterflies will vanish, that the perfect moment will appear. But guess what? That day never comes. The only way to shrink fear is to starve it. You starve it by refusing to feed it with your energy, your focus, and your attention. You starve it by moving. Let's talk about the power of momentum. The moment you take even one small step toward your goal, your body chemistry changes. Your mind shifts from threat to focus. That single move, making the call, showing up at the gym, speaking up in a meeting, breaks the fear loop. That's how fast it happens. Not after years of planning, not after endless self-help books, in seconds. Because fear is loud, but it's not loyal. The second you take charge, fear backs off. And no, I'm not saying you won't feel fear again. You will. Every time you grow, every time you stretch, every time you reach for something new, fear is going to show up like clockwork. But here's the good news. Once you learn to act in spite of it, fear loses its control over you. It may still be in the room, but it won't be running the show. And that shift, where you become the one making the decisions instead of fear, is life-changing. Think about how many dreams have died because someone froze in fear, how many ideas never became reality, how many words went unsaid, how many chances slipped by, all because someone paused instead of pushing. But the people who win, the people who break through, they're not fearless, they're just fast. They move. They don't wait to be certain. They take the first step, then the next. They trust that action will build clarity, and clarity will quiet the fear. So how do you do it? How do you take action when you're terrified? You use the 5-second rule. You count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move. No thinking, no debating, no backing out. You interrupt the fear loop and launch into action. It sounds simple, and it is, but it works. Because when fear wants to freeze you, that small physical act of counting and launching gets your brain focused on movement, not panic. Remember this, fear is always going to have something to say, but you don't have to listen. Your power lies in what you do, not what you feel. You can feel afraid and still take action. You can be uncertain and still move forward. You can be anxious and still show up. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop feeding fear by standing still. Get up. Do one small thing. Send the email, make the call, start the outline, hit record, say the words. Take the first step, no matter how small, because that step, that movement, that's where the magic happens. That's where fear starts to fade and momentum starts to build. Action doesn't just kill fear, it transforms you. It turns you from someone who hesitates into someone who leads. It teaches you that you're stronger than your excuses, tougher than your doubts, and way more capable than you ever believed. So the next time fear shows up, don't freeze, don't wait. Don't ask for permission, move. That's the real cure. That's how you take your power back. That's how you change everything.